I need you to understand something about camera traps. They don't just go offline. Not 6 of them, not in the same grid, not in the same week. I've been a wildlife technician for 7 years. I've maintained over 300 camera traps across Washington state. Batteries die, SD cards corrupt. Bears occasionally knock them around. Deer get curious and nudge them, but cameras don't get systematically destroyed in a pattern moving from east to west across a study grid. That doesn't happen by accident. My name is Jake Morrison. I'm 29 years old, and on November 18th, 2021, I spent 8 hours recovering 6 destroyed camera traps in the Olympic National Forest. 8 hours watching footage that showed me exactly what had destroyed them and exactly where it was leading me. By the time I reached the 6th camera, I understood. I'd been herded, guided, led to a specific location like a fish following bait into a net. And when I climbed down into that ravine and found all 6 cameras arranged in a perfect circle, I looked up and saw what had been waiting for me. If you've ever worked alone in the backcountry, if you've ever had that feeling that something was watching you work, subscribe to this channel right now. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't just about finding evidence. It's about being tested, measured, and marked. Let me tell you what really happened in the Quinault Valley that November 18th, 2021, Thursday morning. I was at the Olympic National Forest Ranger Station in Quinault, Washington, doing my weekly data download from the camera trap grid. I was a seasonal wildlife technician working on a long-term cougar population study. My job was simple: maintain 60 camera traps spread across a 20-square-mile study area in the temperate rainforest. Check batteries, swap SD cards, download data, document any issues. It was good work. Solitary, technical, exactly what I needed after dropping out of grad school 2 years earlier. No office politics, no deadlines except the ones nature imposed. Just me, the forest, and the data. That morning, I was reviewing the weekly status report when I noticed something odd. 6 cameras had gone offline. Cameras 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28, all in the eastern sector of the grid, all within the last 7 days. I pulled up the map. The cameras formed a line, east to west, each one approximately a quarter mile from the next. Camera failures happen. But 6 cameras in a geographic sequence? That was unusual. I was making a note to check them the following week when my supervisor, Tom Breslin, walked in. "Morrison, you see the eastern sector status?" "Yeah, 6 cameras offline. I was going to check them Monday." "No, today. We've got a storm system moving in this weekend, atmospheric river. They're calling for 8 to 10 inches of rain. Roads will be impassable for a week once it hits." I looked at the weather forecast. He was right. Major storm, arriving Friday night. If those cameras are damaged and we don't recover them before the storm, we lose a month of data, maybe more. I need you to pull them today. All 6. I checked my watch. 9 a.m. "Tom, that's a 12-mile loop, through some rough terrain. I might not make it back before dark." "Then take a headlamp. Morrison, this is a federally funded study. We can't afford data gaps. Get the cameras. Check the footage if possible. If they're damaged beyond repair, at least recover the SD cards." I wanted to argue. 12 miles solo in the backcountry with a storm coming wasn't smart. But Tom was right about the data, and I needed this job. "Okay, I'll head out now. Good man, radio check every 2 hours. If you're not back by 7, I'm sending search and rescue." I grabbed my field pack, 2-way radio, GPS, spare batteries, SD card reader, first aid kit, headlamp, water and food for 8 hours, and I headed into the Quinault Valley to find out why 6 cameras had gone dark. The trailhead was at the end of a gravel logging road. I parked my truck and shouldered my pack. The forest was already dark, despite it being mid-morning. That's the thing about temperate rainforests in November. The canopy is so thick and the days are so short that it feels like dusk even at noon. I started hiking east. The trail followed an old logging road for the first 2 miles, then turned into a footpath through old-growth Sitka spruce and western hemlock. The understory was thick with ferns and moss, everything dripping, always dripping. I reached camera 23 after 45 minutes. It was supposed to be mounted on a large cedar about 8 feet up, facing a game trail. It wasn't there. I scanned the area with my eyes, looked on the ground, checked nearby trees in case I'd misremembered the location. Then I saw it, 20 feet away, lying on the forest floor. I walked over, picked it up. The security cable had been snapped, not cut, snapped, like someone had just grabbed it and yanked. The camera housing was cracked, lens shattered, but the SD card compartment was intact. I popped out the SD card, slipped it into my portable reader, scrolled through the images. The first 100 photos were normal. Cougar, black-tailed deer, raccoons, standard stuff. Then the sequence changed. November 11th, 11:47 p.m. A large shape entering the frame from the left, too big to be a bear, too dark to see details, but clearly massive. Next frame, 11:47:03 p.m. 3 seconds later, the shape closer, upright, moving toward the camera with purpose. Next frame, the shape directly in front of the camera, a hand visible, huge, 5 fingers, reaching up. Next frame, blurred motion, the camera spinning. Next frame, ground, forest floor, the camera on its side. Final frame, darkness. I stood there in the dripping forest holding a broken camera and an SD card that showed something had deliberately ripped it off the tree. My first thought was vandals, but we were miles from any road. No one hikes this area in November. My second thought was bear. But bears don't reach up with hands, and they don't move with that kind of purpose. I radioed Tom. "Station, this is Morrison. Camera 23 recovered. It was pulled off the tree. Security cable snapped. I've got footage of something large tampering with it. Continuing to camera 24. Copy." "What do you think pulled it down?" I hesitated. "Unknown. Continuing investigation." I tucked the broken camera in my pack and kept hiking. Camera 24 was a quarter-mile west. Same story. Snapped security cable. Camera on the ground. Lens destroyed. I checked the SD card. November 12th, 10:32 p.m. Large shape. Upright. Approaching camera directly. Same sequence. Hand reaching up. Camera yanked down. Darkness. But this time there was one more frame. Taken after the camera hit the ground. A face. Partially visible. Broad. Flat, eyes reflecting the infrared flash, looking directly at the camera. Not a bear, not a cougar, not anything I'd ever seen. My heart was pounding now. I radioed Tom again. "Morrison to station. Camera 24 also pulled down. Footage shows something tampering with it deliberately. This is organized damage, not random." "What do you mean organized?" "I mean, whatever did this is moving from camera to camera, east to west, destroying them systematically." Silence on the other end. Then, "Morrison, continue recovery. Document everything, but be careful. Copy." I kept hiking. Faster now. Camera 25. Same pattern. Pulled down November 13th at 9:15 p.m. Camera 26. Pulled down November 14th at 8:43 p.m. Each one a quarter-mile west of the previous. Each one destroyed at night. Each one showing the same large upright shape deliberately approaching and removing the camera. And the footage was getting clearer. Whatever was doing this was getting more confident, less cautious. In camera 26's footage, I could see it clearly for almost 10 seconds, walking toward the camera, 9 feet tall at least, covered in dark reddish-brown hair, moving with intelligence, with purpose. It knew what the cameras were, and it was removing them one by one. But why in a pattern? Why east to west? I pulled out my GPS, marked the location of each destroyed camera, drew a line connecting them. The line pointed west, toward the Quinault River drainage, toward the most remote section of the study area, toward cameras 27 and 28. I checked my watch, 2:30 p.m. Still had maybe 3 hours of usable light. The last 2 cameras were a mile and a half away, through rough terrain. I should have turned back, should have called Tom and told him I'd get the last 2 cameras another day. But I'm stubborn. And I wanted to see how this ended. I kept hiking west. The terrain got rougher. The old logging road ended. I was on game trails now, steep slopes, slippery from rain, fallen logs to climb over, dense undergrowth. I reached the location for camera 27 at 3:45 p.m. Light was fading. The camera wasn't on the tree, wasn't on the ground, it was gone. I searched the area, expanding circles, looking for any sign of it. Then I saw something that made my blood run cold. Footprints, in the soft mud near a creek, massive, at least 18 inches long, 5 toes, a distinct heel, pressed deep into the ground, fresh, made within the last day or two, and they led west, deeper into the forest, toward camera 28. I stood there for a long moment, every instinct screaming at me to turn around. Go back, this was wrong, but I'd come this far. One more camera. I followed the footprints. The footprints led me off the game trail, through thick undergrowth, down a steep slope toward a ravine I didn't know existed. And there, at the edge of the ravine, I found camera 27. It was hanging from a low branch, about 4 feet off the ground, not mounted properly. Just placed there, deliberately, like it was meant to be found. I approached carefully, pulled out the SD card. The footage showed the same thing, creature approaching, removing the camera, but this time it didn't destroy it. It carried it for a quarter mile and hung it on this branch. Why? I looked down into the ravine. It was maybe 30 feet deep, steep sides, dense vegetation at the bottom, and there at the bottom I saw camera 28, sitting on a fallen log, perfectly positioned, like it was waiting. That's when I understood. I'd been herded. Each destroyed camera had led me west. Camera 27 had led me here, to this ravine, and camera 28 was bait. I should have left, should have climbed back up the slope and gotten the hell out of there. But I'm an idiot, and I needed that camera, needed the data, needed to see the footage. I started climbing down into the ravine. The descent was harder than I expected. The sides were slick with moss. My boots kept slipping. I had to grab onto roots and branches to keep from falling. Halfway down, I dislodged a rock. It tumbled to the bottom, made a loud crack as it hit. The forest went silent, completely silent. No birds, no wind, nothing. I froze, listened. Then I heard it. Movement. Something large. Moving through the underbrush, circling the ravine. I looked up. The rim of the ravine was 30 feet above me. Too far to climb quickly. I was trapped. I continued down, faster now. If something was up there, I didn't want to be hanging on the side of a cliff. I reached the bottom. The ravine floor was maybe 15 feet wide. A small creek ran through it. Dense ferns and fallen logs everywhere. And there was camera 28, sitting on a log. Undamaged, waiting. But it wasn't alone. Around it, arranged in a perfect circle, were the other 5 cameras. 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. All the destroyed ones, all placed carefully, all facing inward toward camera 28. This was a message, a display, a statement. I know what you're doing. I know what these are. And here's proof I'm intelligent. I grabbed camera 28, popped out the SD card. My hands were shaking. The footage loaded. November 15th, 7:22 p.m. The creature, clear as day, walking into frame, carrying camera 27, placing it in the circle, then picking up camera 28, carrying it to this log, setting it down carefully, positioning it, then looking directly at the lens for almost 30 seconds. Just staring, and in those 30 seconds I saw its face clearly. Broad, flat, heavy brow ridge, eyes that were intelligent, aware, almost curious. Then it reached out, pressed one finger against the lens, like it was touching the glass, testing it, and it walked away, out of frame, gone. The footage continued. Hours of nothing, just the ravine, the circle of cameras, waiting. Then, this morning, 6:47 a.m., movement, me, arriving at the trailhead, 3 miles away. but somehow the camera had caught it. No, wait, that was impossible. This camera was in the ravine. It couldn't see the trailhead. I looked closer at the footage. It wasn't this camera. It was camera 27, still functioning, still recording. Positioned on that branch specifically to see the trailhead, to see me arrive. The creature had known I was coming, had watched me start the hike, had arranged everything, the pattern, the trail, the bait. And now I was exactly where it wanted me. I heard a sound above me, rocks shifting. I looked up, and there it was, standing at the rim of the ravine, silhouetted against the grey sky, 9 feet tall, maybe more, broad shoulders, long arms, covered in dark hair, looking down at me. We stared at each other for maybe 10 seconds. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Every muscle in my body locked up. It didn't move either, just watched, studying me the way I'd been studying the forest for 7 years. Then it made a sound, low, rumbling, not aggressive, almost conversational, like it was commenting on something, and it sat down, right there on the rim. Legs dangling over the edge, settled in, like it was waiting to see what I'd do. That's when I realized this wasn't an attack. This was a test. It had led me here, shown me the cameras, proven its intelligence. Now it wanted to see if I was intelligent enough to figure out what came next. I looked at the ravine walls, too steep to climb quickly, especially with something that size watching from above. I looked at the creek. It flowed downstream, out of the ravine, but through dense undergrowth. I'd have to crawl. The creature shifted, leaned forward slightly, watching my face. Reading my decisions, I made my choice. I started moving downstream, following the creek, slowly at first, then faster. The creature stood up, moved along the rim, keeping pace with me, not blocking, not threatening, just observing. I pushed through ferns, climbed over logs. The creek led me around a bend. The ravine walls got lower, more climbable. I found a spot where roots created natural handholds, started climbing. The creature appeared above me, looking down, close enough that I could smell it, wet fur and earth and something else, something wild. It reached down. I thought it was going to grab me, pull me up or push me down. I froze, but it didn't touch me. It just pointed. To the left, where the roots were thicker, better handholds. It was showing me the way out. I climbed, using the route it indicated. The creature backed away as I neared the top, giving me space. I pulled myself over the rim, collapsed on the ground, gasping. The creature was standing 20 feet away, just watching. I stood up slowly. We looked at each other. Then it did something I'll never forget. It nodded. Just a slight dip of its head, acknowledgement, and it turned and walked away into the forest, silent, gone. I stood there for maybe 5 minutes, just breathing, processing. Then I grabbed my pack and started hiking back to the trailhead, fast. I made it back to my truck at 6:30 p.m., just before full dark. Tom was waiting in his vehicle. "Jesus, Morrison, I was about to call SAR. You're over an hour past check-in." I didn't answer, just opened my pack, pulled out the 6 cameras and SD cards. "What the hell happened out there?" I told him. "Everything. The pattern, the footage, the ravine, the circle, the creature." He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "You have the footage?" "Yeah, on the cards." "Let me see." We went to the ranger station. I loaded the SD cards onto the computer, showed him everything. He watched in silence. When it got to the clip of the creature staring at the camera, he leaned closer. "That's not a bear. No. That's not anything in the field guides. No." He sat back, rubbed his face. "Morrison, this footage can't go in the official study database." "Why not?" "Because the moment it does, this study is over. We'll have every cryptozoologist, Bigfoot hunter, and conspiracy theorist in the country descending on this forest. The science will be buried under circus. You understand?" I understood, but I didn't like it. "So what do? We document it, privately. We keep the footage secure, and we keep monitoring. If this thing is intelligent enough to understand camera traps, we need to know more about it, but quietly, scientifically." And what do I do? Just go back out there and pretend nothing happened? Tom looked at me hard. Did it hurt you? No. Did it threaten you? No. It helped me out of the ravine. Then maybe it's not a threat. Maybe it's just there, living in the forest like everything else we study. Maybe it's saying I see you too. I thought about that, about the circle of cameras, the test, the nod. So I just keep working? If you can, if you want to. I looked at the footage on the screen, the creature staring at the camera. Intelligence in those eyes. I'll think about it. I went home that night, couldn't sleep, kept seeing that face, those eyes. The next morning I went back to the ranger station. Tom was already there. I'm staying, I told him. I want to keep monitoring. He nodded. Good, because I need to show you something. He pulled up the camera trap grid map, pointed to the western sector, cameras 40 through 60. 3 more cameras went offline last night. Same pattern, east to west. My blood went cold. It's still destroying them? No. Look at the footage. He pulled up images from camera 41, taken at 3:22 a.m. The creature, walking past the camera, not approaching it, not touching it, just passing through frame, looking directly at the lens as it went by, like it was checking in, saying hello. It's in every camera now, Tom said quietly. 47, 52, 58, just walking past, making sure we know it's there. What does that mean? I think it means you passed the test. It knows you're not a threat. So now it's letting us see it, on its terms. I looked at the images, dozens of them. The creature at different cameras, different angles, always aware, always watching back. We're not studying the forest anymore, I said. It's studying us. Tom smiled grimly. Welcome to field biology, Morrison. Sometimes the subjects observe the observers. That was 3 years ago. I'm still working at Olympic National Forest, still maintaining the camera trap grid, and the creature is still there. I see it on footage maybe once a week, sometimes just passing through, sometimes stopping to look at the camera. Once, I swear it waved. We've documented over 300 clear images of it. Height, build, movement patterns, behavior, everything except what it actually is. The official study still focuses on cougars. The creature footage stays in a separate encrypted database. Only Tom and I have access. Someday, maybe we'll publish it, present it to the scientific community. But not yet. Not while it's still cooperative. Still allowing us to see it. Because here's what I've learned in 3 years of watching that footage. It's not hiding from us. It knows exactly where every camera is. It knows we're watching. It's just choosing when to be seen and when to remain invisible. And the fact that it's letting us see it at all, that's a privilege, a gift, a sign of trust that I don't want to betray by turning it into a media spectacle. So I keep maintaining the cameras, keep collecting data, keep watching, and it keeps watching back. Because that's what field biology really is. Not humans studying nature, but nature and humans studying each other, learning to coexist, learning to share space. The forest doesn't belong to us. We're just visitors, observers, guests. And sometimes, if we're respectful enough, the real residents let us stay. If this story made you think differently about what's really watching us when we think we're alone in the wilderness, hit that like button right now. Then drop a comment below and tell me, where are you watching from? Have you ever checked trail camera footage and seen something you couldn't explain? Have you ever felt like you were being observed while you were doing the observing? I read every single comment, and I need to know if anyone else has experienced this. Now here's the important part. If you want to hear more stories from people who work in the field and discover that the wilderness is far more aware than we think, you need to subscribe to this channel. Click that subscribe button right now. And make sure you turn on the notification bell so you don't miss tomorrow's story. We're uploading a new encounter every day, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Don't just watch, subscribe, hit the bell. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. And if you ever maintain camera traps in remote areas and you start seeing the same large shape in multiple cameras, maybe it's just a bear making rounds. Or maybe something intelligent has decided you're worth watching, and maybe that's not a threat. Maybe it's just the forest saying, I see you too.